What is up? What's up, guys? I am finally back. Feels like ages. Good lordy. That nasty weather we had the other night that really did some damage around us and had some major technical difficulties. So I think we finally got over all that though. So I've got the original show as planned, ready to go. But I wanted to see what y'all were in the mood for, because of course, right as I was getting ready to do this, I seen a couple things go across my feed. So I guess Graham Allen's back at it again. This time he's after Megan Kelly. I mean, hard and heavy. After Megan Kelly, and of course he's still on Candace Owens pretty bad too. So we can do either one. We can stick with the plan, and then we can do that other one tomorrow night, or we can do a swap if y'all want. It's totally up to y'all. Y'all just let me know in the chat. I'm gonna start loading this up though, and y'all can let me know which way y'all want to go. And hey, Miss Susan. Hey, Miss Susan, Miss Rainey. Good to see y'all in there. Been a while since we got to hang out in the chat, so I'm tickled shitless to be here, and tickled y'all are here. And hey, about the confusion, I'm so sorry. So last night I planned on doing a show, had it scheduled, and then I had some last minute technical difficulties and just couldn't get it to work. So I set it for today. Well, I didn't mean to set it for AM, so that got everybody all thinking I was going live in the morning. So anyway, yeah, I had it set for AM instead of PM. That's why the confusion there, and I apologize about that. So anyway, I will try not to let that happen again. Hey, what's up, Brett? Yeah, me too, Miss Susan. We didn't, like, right here where I'm at, we didn't get it that bad, not bad enough, like houses torn up and stuff, but it was nasty enough to mess with the power and the internet. Now, right down the road from us, not too far, it got it got really nasty. So we definitely got lucky. I happened to be a sales rep for a roofing company though, so being as it was tornadoes, oh my God, I've been slammed. I've been really busy. So, all right, let's see here. Let me get this pulled in here. Excuse me. Thank you. Y'all don't ask me why that was. Oh, never mind. I wasn't sharing it anyway. Lord. All right, here we go. Yeah, busy is good. That is exactly right, Miss Rainey. And you know, I'm always glad to find a messed up roof. I mean, I always hope everybody's safe, people are safe, but when those bad storms roll through, you know, I'm all about a messed up roof anyway. Not at the expense of somebody though. You know, as long as the people are safe, I'm always happy for a messed up roof. All right, let's see here. Playlist. I don't know why I didn't already have this ready to go. Let's see. I do know why, because everything's last minute with me. It's super professional, though, the way I do this. Okay, let's see here. Mm-hmm. Oh, my Lord. Okay, guys, we're getting there, I promise. Okay, let's see. History. I was just watching that thing. Videos. All right, now. Now we're getting somewhere, guys. I promise next time I'll have this ready to go. Maybe I shouldn't promise just in case. I promise I'm going to try to have it ready to go next time when I go live. How about that? And I sure do watch a lot of videos. That's how I got to stay up to date. Hold, please. Hold for processing. Why is okay? Tonight is not my night, guys. Hold on one second. Jesus. Okay, here we go. So what this is, I guess I'll go ahead and I can go ahead and tell you about it. Um, this is I don't know, 6-part series. I want to say it is, and it's a 6-part series, I believe, and they're like 20-minute, I believe. Most of them are like 15, 20 minutes, something like that. So what we can do is we will there it is, finally. What we can do is we can start on it and we can do a section of it or two, just depends on how long it takes. But anyway, I told y'all that we would do this. This would give us a little bit backstory for that last video we did, that Wolves in Finance, where he was giving his take on what he felt has been going on with the whole Charlie Kirk thing. He believes in the Q thing. He felt like Q was supposed to be the military's answer to the voter fraud on the Democrat side, and that it was an illegal plan to get Republicans into office. So I don't necessarily agree with all that, but I'm not even going to really throw my 2 cents worth in too much, except to explain this stuff as we go on, here and there, add a little context maybe. And I'll just let y'all see what y'all think. But this right here, basically, at the end of the day, this is just so y'all know have a little bit better understanding of what Zach was talking about the other night. So that being said, now that I've got this loaded in here, let's share it. All righty. Oh, no wonder. Y'all guys. Can I just start over? Can we start over? You want me to go out of here and start this show over? Right. That's no good. I pulled it up in the wrong browser, and I can't even share from that browser. I tell you what. Okay. Now I got it in the right browser. I'm going to try this one more time, guys, okay? This should do it. This should do it. Man, I tell you what, I look professional tonight. What would y'all do without my professionality? All right, here we go. Now I got it. All right, let me make sure this ain't like on triple speed because I don't think that's going to really. All right, we're on normal. All right, guys, here we go. Fire in the hole. This is the hole Adam is doing to Susan. All right, Miss Rainin, we'll be here. Just come back when you can. Whatever you miss, I guess you might have to back up a little bit, but that's okay. That's the beautiful thing about YouTube. All right, guys, fire in the hole. This is basically that's called Q, the plan to save the world. Again, I'm not putting any kind of weight into it. I'm not telling you whether you should believe it or not believe it. None of that stuff. But this will at least give you a little bit of context of what he was talking about the other night. And it is interesting stuff, especially if you think about a lot of the stuff that's been happening. So anyway, that being said, I'm going to hit the go button.
Network. This video is a compilation of all 6 parts of Q, the plan to save the world. This was done by Joe M. at Storm is Upon Us. He did a fantastic job with this. Share this far and wide. The world is waking up. Sit back, relax, open up your minds, and enjoy.
Have you ever wondered why we go to war? Or why you never seem to be able to get out of debt? Why there is poverty, division, and crime? What if I told you there was a reason for it all? What if I told you it was done on purpose? What if I told you that those who were corrupting the world, poisoning our food, and igniting conflict were themselves about to be permanently eradicated from the earth? You might think that an idealistic fantasy. Well, let me tell you a story. We acknowledge there are criminals, of course. They rob your house, they steal your phone. They can murder you too if they think they can get away with it. We have all experienced criminals in one way or another. Criminals, as we know, are those who choose personal gain over the rights of others and have no regard for the law. But here is where you need to expand your thinking. Criminals can also succeed in business and politics and can be elected as our leaders. If a criminal became the president, imagine what they could achieve. They could use the full weight of their executive power to commit much larger crimes and ensure they and their friends were enriched to the fullest extent possible. A criminal president could create alliances with other criminal presidents and then collaborate on more global criminal activities. Anything goes. Drug running, human trafficking, whatever makes the big bucks. The 20th century was turbulent with war, economic disaster, famines, and displacement. We have always accepted these things as just human nature, and simply the way the world works. Something inevitable, and due to the weaknesses of human nature that drive us to these actions. This is where we will all tragically wrong. You are not a criminal. I'm not a criminal. So how can we just assume that it is human nature that is driving all this pain and misery? What if it wasn't human nature at all, and as a result of something more deliberate? We were taught that capitalism was the cause of a massive rich-poor divide and the reason for poverty, which in turn is the reason for war, crime, and starvation. Others were taught that communism, the system of equal wealth across all people, was really to blame for the mess. But you see, folks, it is none of these things. It is not our nature to fight and be racist. It is not in our nature to rob from others. What you must learn is
But
that
yet, just like you had with the George Floyd, it always seems like every so often, like race relations in particular will start getting better. And of course, that's not something I've ever really had an issue with or really bothered me at all. But then every so often when stuff starts getting better, all of a sudden you have to have a George Floyd incident or something like that. And I don't feel like it's organic. And even if the incident itself is just an unlucky happenstance, and it is just something that happens, it's the response to it that is not organic. Like, we all know what happened. We all know about the pallets of bricks that were, mysteriously popping up everywhere, and all these agitators that get out there. And so, yeah, it's definitely not organic. They definitely want us to fight each other. And that's the part of this issue with the whole Charlie Kirk thing. Not that it was, I don't necessarily believe that's what it was intended for, but trust me, the powers that be, the powers that ought not be, they have taken full advantage of the situation. And what do they got? They got us, not only Democrats and Republicans fighting each other, but in fighting with the Republicans. And I mean, like, it's just a shit show right now.
Criminals all along. Yes, they got power. More power than a criminal should ever have. They rose to the top of media companies that control our news and entertainment. They ascended to the top of the banking system, also to the Oval Office, to Brussels, to the Vatican, to the Crown. They crept in quietly. They became leaders of agricultural companies who have control over our food supply. Also big pharmaceutical companies, the ones we trust to help us when we're sick. Nobody stopped them, and they just recruited more criminals to help them. First, they accumulated the world's wealth. They invented a system of money called central banking, which lends money to governments with interest, placing countries into return.
When constitutionally, like it says that our government is to make our own, is to make our money. And instead of just doing that, we literally have these banks that we just pay interest just so they can print this money out of thin air. Like it is not money. It's literally just paper, not even worth the paper it's printed on anymore. And all we would have to do is just start making our own money like we're supposed to. But yet, no, we've got to be paying all these trillions of dollars in interest to the central bank. You know, I better not get started down that road. We'll be here forever.
Debt. People's wealth got less. Their wealth got more.
That's exactly right, Miss Susan. That is exactly right.
Much more. When a criminal is already as rich as they can get, then protecting their ill-gotten gains becomes the priority. Angry citizens tired of being poor are a major obstacle and can revolt if they suffer enough. The criminals needed to prevent this, so they diverted attention to the last remaining competitor, the people of the world. You and me. We were not happy being ruled by criminals and having to work 3 jobs just to survive. They know we won't accept it, so they use their control of the media to set black against white, woman against man, young against old, Muslim against Christian. They convinced us.
You think about that too. You know, obviously I'm no fan of or apologist for, like, you know, the really crazy, you know, extremist Muslims, you know, the Islamists. But at the end of the day, I have no issue at all with Muslims. Most Muslims that I've ever met have actually been pretty good people. It doesn't have anything to do with being Muslim. It's there is a certain oh, was I frozen, Brett? I don't think it froze on my side, so I don't know. Maybe it was yours. Anyway, but there's just been a crazy push lately where it seems like that's something else that's been happening, is that they've been there's been a concerted effort to get Muslims and Christians fighting. And you know what the sad part about it is? You know, the saddest part about it, our greatest ally, you know, they're obviously not Christian. They're the exact opposite of Christian. At the end of the day, if you think about which is more compatible with a Christian nation, the Jewish religion, and we're just talking about as far as religions go, the Jewish religion or the Muslims. Actually, the Muslim is way more compatible than the Jewish. The Jews, you know, in their Talmud, they have it talks about how, and I've heard Ben Shapiro said it live in front of God and everybody, something about that he believed that Jesus Christ was just a man. Not only was he just a man, but he was let's see, what did it say? He tried to start a revolt or something like that, and then got killed for his trouble. I mean, just awful. And then there's a verse in the Talmud that talks about how Jesus is burning in hell and human excrement, all this nasty stuff. You know, and that goes against everything that Christians stand for. I mean, if you don't believe in Jesus, you know, God the Father, God the Son, the Holy Spirit, you believe that God the Son came, you know, he died for everybody's sins, died, rose again 3 days later. So, you know, with the Muslims at least, you know, they don't believe that Jesus is God, but they do believe that Jesus is a prophet, and they do believe that he is like holy, and they do revere Jesus. So their religious books don't talk about him being in hell as we speak. So honestly, at the end of the day, to me, I feel like just the religion itself, and that's not any crazies involved, but I think just the religions themselves, actually the Muslim faith is more compatible with us than our greatest allies' faith.
We were the problem, so that we were.
I got kind of on a tangent there. I digress.
Fight and destroy ourselves. To get it done faster, they attacked all aspects of humanity that make us strong. Like
Snow. I was on a damn roof earlier sweating my ass off. And you're talking about just got dug out of the snow. What the hell?
family. Using their influence over culture, they popularized lifestyle choices that led to a surge in broken homes, lost youth, and substance abuse. I could talk all day about how else they deliberately weakened.
Think about all the fentanyl that's been brought into this country. And who's the they? You know, it's not just the cartels. It's not just the Chinese. It's the they. You know, those really powerful people that seem to control everything.
Us, and it would turn your stomach. We were just trying to get on with living. So where are all the good guys? Good people just want to get married, have kids, make a living, and enjoy their liberty. Well, there were good guys. Many. One became the President of the United States in January 1961. He knew about these criminals and wanted them gone. He knew their intentions for us all, and he wanted to fight them. Sadly, he had no idea how powerful they had become. Reagan also had good intentions for the American people. He knew this criminal mafia controlled almost everything by this stage, including the powerful rogue intelligence agencies. His economic policies were promising, but the criminals needed a weak America to hold on to their power. Reagan was shown with a bullet that a growing U.S. economy and prosperous citizens were not what the criminals wanted. It was looking pretty grim for good people. Every time someone wanted to stand up and do the right thing, they got stopped. Were we ever to be freed? These criminals are also known as the Deep State, or Cabal, because of how they control things behind the scenes. Every president after Reagan was one of these Deep State criminals, and their empire got even stronger. With each bad president came new depths America and the world would sink. The world collapsed into darkness. Do you need me to tell you how? Destroyed factories, declining job numbers, sicker people, opioids, destruction of Iraq, Syria, and Yemen with pointless war, displacement of people into Europe, ISIS, terrorism, collapsed governments, poverty, and genocide.
And if you don't think all these quote unquote refugees, I mean, that's the whole point about it. There's a lot of different reasons for us to not go to war. There's a whole lot of reasons why people are fed up with war. Obviously, there's spending all the what it costs us, not only in money, but in blood, you know, the best of us and all that. But, you know, every single time we go have this war in this third world, godforsaken country, those people end up coming here because we've bombed the shit out of where they live. And, you know, one or two, whatever, a few is one thing. There's going to be some people that are really good people that, you know, whatever. But when they bring these people over in mass, first, they're already pissed off at us because we bombed their shit. And then they come over here, bunch of handouts, all that. And then, you know, it's just asking for trouble, especially when you take places out of where these extremists come from. Yes, Brett, it is actually really good. So I don't even remember. Oh, yeah, it was that Wolf Finance video is what made me think of this. It'd been a while since I seen it. So I'm glad I thought about it and glad y'all were interested in seeing it.
Total misery. Do you think that was inevitable? Hell no. Well, here is where things start to take a new turn. When the full picture comes to be known, it will forever be regarded as the greatest story ever told. Well, here is the top line. Some good people still held positions of power. They valued humanity and the rule of law. While the criminals discussed their game plan at the annual Bilderberg meetings, the good guys were making plans of their own. The information age was coming to change history forever. As the internet flooded into every home and appliances became smarter, and when people started carrying tracking devices, an opportunity to put an end to criminal control over the world was emerging. We became connected.
And, you know, talking about how everybody's got a tracking device and all this stuff, you know, that is one of the things that is, and I know I've said this before, I sound like a broken record, but that's one of the major problems that they're having with the Charlie Kirk narrative. You know, I've said it before. This is not the John F. Kennedy days. This isn't the MLK days. It's not the RFK days. It is a different day and time. And, you know, back then, people basically, they were spoon fed whatever the government wanted them to know. And guess what? What else could they do? I mean, there was, this is the thing. People feel like the government has got so much more corrupt over the years, and it probably has gotten more corrupt. But the thing about it is back in the day, there was no way for anybody to know different. Back in the day, they trusted their government because they believed their government, because there was no way for anybody to prove that they were lying, except some of the, you know, the rare people out there, some of the, you know, you've had voices of, hell, even Alex Jones when he first got started, William Cooper, you know, you had people here and there, but as a whole, I mean, we just had to take what they dished out to us. And yes, government trust was a whole lot higher. Again, like I said, because there was no way for the average person to just go online and get all this stuff. Now, you know, they decided to pull this shit with Charlie, and we're at it's a different day and time. And like I've said before, I don't think they can hide it from us. Now, does that necessarily mean the government's going to come out and actually, you know, come clean or confirm the actual truth? No, but I feel like the way it's been going, I believe that we can get to I believe that we can find an answer, though. Be nice if the government would come out and confirm everything and actually get some justice for him. But anyway, again, I digress.
Trackable and surveilled. But so did they. They became dependent, just like we did.
Oh, yes, Miss Susan, it definitely did. You know why, don't you? The aliens is giving them the technology. That's exactly right, Mr. Brett. That's exactly right.
Email, SMS, instant communication. It made crime much easier, but it also put them on a grid that, if accessed by the right people, would expose their crimes to the public and end their iron grip on us once and for all.
That man right there, I hope none of y'all are a huge fan of him, but that man was supposed to have been the answer to everybody's prayers, answer to all of our problems. Finally, we got a black president. Everything is just going to be so much better. And, you know, now all these years later, even I don't think I know any black people that disagree with this statement. Matter of fact, most of them have been the ones that came to me and told me this, but that he didn't do shit for black people. And at the end of the day, he stirred the pot and caused more race, you know, related issues than probably any other president in history. I hate to say that. And like I said, I hope none of you, I don't think any of y'all are probably fans, just judging by what I know of y'all, but just saying, that's the way I feel about it. I think he set us back when it comes to race relations.
In this new age of information, it was thought that the military should also have its own intelligence agency to focus on cybercrime and espionage. They called this the NSA, the National Security Agency. Here we had every phone call, email, and text from every device stored and archived. Whether it be someone making a doctor's appointment or the deep state setting up a massive heroin purchase from the Taliban. In the right hands, it would be enough information to expose the entire sinister criminal plot to rob us blind and wipe us out. Hold that thought. Now I need to explain the plan. The good guys were devising a plan to reclaim the world from the...
Now, I just want you to think about this as it starts to go into this. Think about what was said in that Wolves and Finance movie the other night. What they said was, well, they were talking about the plan, but they were talking about how Trump was asked to run. And long years before that show, that episode of Zach's came out, I had heard this time and time again. Of course, Trump even said it, but I mean, like from other places, that he was asked to run, he was asked to run, he was asked to run. And not only was he asked to run, but specifically by the military, by really high ranking people in the military. They came to him and had him run. And that's what it's going into right here. About to go into a little bit more detail, I do believe.
Cabal and return it to the people. It would involve alliances with multiple countries, since the criminals had global rat lines, trade, and other infrastructure in place that would need their cooperation. It came down to two choices for America. Launch a military coup to seize the government from whichever cabal.
Right now, while we're here. So I don't know if y'all are familiar with Michael Flynn, but if not, you should really make yourself familiar with him. Really good dude. Spent like 35 years in the Army. He was the head of the DIA, the Defense Intelligence Agency, which is the I believe the branch is the Army, but anyway, it's the military's intelligence agency. Way high up. He worked under Obama. He worked under obviously other presidents too, but he was the director of the DIA under Obama. He knows about where all the skeletons are buried. He knows a lot of stuff. And he has always talked about this 16-year plan to destroy America. And I think I talked about this the other night. This 16-year plan was supposed to be 8 years of Obama and then 8 years of Hillary. And then if need be, 4 to 8 years of Michelle, if need be, to finish this off. But that was the plan. And when it mentioned the military coup, so and this is something that Michael Flynn has talked about, General Michael Flynn has talked about, is how we almost basically, when they went to Trump and asked him to run, this is the story. I cannot vouch for this, but the story is when they went to him and asked him to run, they gave him an ultimatum. They were like, either you run and get in there and let's clean this shit up, or we are going to have a coup, because they saw the direction that these people were going. They knew about this 16-year plan. And there again, this is totally unverified. This is just what I've heard. But that the military was almost to the point where they were going to step in and take Obama out of office. Now, whether that's true or not, I do not know. But that is part of this story, this Q story.
All puppet was in the White House at the time. Or win legitimately, take control of the NSA, expose the criminals for what they are, and arrest them all. Obviously, the first option would be very troubling for the public. With people still preoccupied with cabal-engineered social issues, they would likely revolt and hurt themselves and others. No, it would have to be the last.
Yeah, I think he is, actually. I forgot about that. Are you talking about the Catholic one? Catholics for Catholics or whatever it's called? Is that the one you're talking about?
So they needed a candidate who could win, and who could win big.
The one Candace is speaking at?
Many states like California had been so heavily inundated by criminals that even the voting machines were electronically set up to swing votes any which way.
Yeah, I forgot about that. I'll have to check that out. I'm sure they probably had a live stream of that. I'll check that out. I totally forgot about that.
It would need to be a very decisive victory. Good patriots in the U.S. military and their global partners asked Trump to run for president so they could take back control of America legitimately without alarming the public. Trump was a good choice, obviously, because he overcame the voter fraud and won. But he was a patriot, and he was loved and admired by the public. He was not interested in joining the cabal because they hated America, and he did not agree with them on that point. As soon as he showed interest in taking power, they activated their media assets to viciously turn on him. That's when we saw the sudden hatred emerge. Even when he won, the cabal...
And it is totally true. I mean, you know, he put out that book a few years ago of all the letters that he got from all the different celebrities, but everybody loved him. I mean, everybody, Whoopi Goldberg, Robert De Niro, some of the ones that are absolutely hate him the worst. And if you'll notice, most of these people that hate him the worst, most of them are from Hollywood, and now that we've got the Einstein files, there's been a lot confirmed that most of us have been suspecting for years about, how those people in Hollywood are, how bunch of sickos they are. But anyway, you know, all these people that absolutely love Trump until he decided to run. The moment he decided to run, everybody turned on him. And that is one thing that, and I hate the position I'm getting put in now, but that is one reason why I put so much into the whole Trump movement. You know, I felt like I was putting my support behind the right person just because all the right people hated him. And, you know, I'm not saying I believe any of this is true, but if by chance it was, then he'll probably go down as the greatest president ever. But I do have my concerns, especially here lately. And we've talked a little bit about that before. Yeah, not super thrilled right now with the way things are going.
Ball still had no idea what he was a part of and the sophisticated plan that was about to unfold against them. Shocked at their loss, they mobilized their full arsenal of intelligence, media, money, and technology to try and take back power. Their people at the top of the DOJ and FBI then put together a plan to frame Trump and have him impeached. This is where we come back to the NSA again. All messages were stored and could be used to expose this plot and prevent Trump's overthrow. An entire book will be written about the first 2 years of Trump's presidency, false flag terror attacks.
Yeah, Joe Kent's fixing to fuck them up big time. You watch. You just watch. They're trying to drag his ass through the mud, but he'll have the last laugh. You watch.
Down planes, missile alerts, assassination attempts. Here's the point.
And, you know, we'll just get off of this for we'll take a little quick diversion. You know, if you watch that whole Tucker interview, he was very graceful to President Trump. And he says that there is at least, there is some evidence to, you know, maybe possibly lead to a couple different conclusions about why we're in the position we're in. And one of them is that he could possibly feel threatened. And I've said this before myself. I feel like that golden pager he got was just a reminder of what, you know, what could happen to him one day. All that to say, he gave him a lot of grace, and he talked about how smart he is and how good of a negotiator he is, and how he knew that he did not want to do this, but that a lot of these people that are around him are snakes and are all tied and twisted in with our greatest ally, and that he feels like he got swindled into this. And I do too. At the end of the day, I mean, I don't know, I could be so wrong, but I feel like he had good intentions. I feel like he still does. I just wish that he would find a way out of it and write this before it's too late too.
The world is currently experiencing a dramatic covert war of biblical proportions. Literally the fight for Earth between the forces of good and evil. I can't put it in simpler terms, but I can say it appears the good guys are winning. The cabal had complete control over North Korea. They hijacked the Kim dynasty, took them hostage, and worked to build up a nuclear arsenal to threaten the world.
And what happened when Trump came into office? They had all that back and forth, all that freaking pecker measuring contest. You know, my button's bigger than yours. You know, I got a big red button, or I got a red button on my desk, and Trump's like, hey, I got a red button on my desk too, but my button works. You know, all that back and forth. And what ended up happening? He was the first president ever to go over there and meet with them. And he went over there, literally shook his hand. Everything was great. Nobody else could have done this. And a lot of times people don't even hear about this stuff or think about this stuff, but he has done such amazing things. This Iran thing just blows my mind, and I wish I could understand it. And I hope that, like I said, I hope, knowing the things that he's capable of, I'm hoping that he can really change course quick.
Kim Jong-un suddenly embracing peace was simply because the deep state were beaten and driven out. ISIS was also destroyed in the year following Trump's win. And
if you'll notice something about all these different people that get, I mean, just demonized. When I say people, I mean like these different countries. North Korea is one of them. I would not want to live in North Korea. I think they're terrible. And I'm sure that Kim Jong-un is a terrible dictator. You know, definitely no democracy, no republic over there. But at the end of the day, they get turned into these villains. You've got them. Another good example would be Gaddafi. Actually, Gaddafi's people loved him. And what did we do? And the reason why we did it was just because he couldn't be controlled. Kim Jong-un wouldn't be controlled. That's kind of the way Iran is. And at the end of the day, if they won't fall in line, they get demonized. And this goes into the whole CIA, all our intelligence agencies, and all the different things that they do. And, you know, a lot of times these people aren't actually a threat, and we end up turning them into threats, or at least making them out to be threats.
We are all starting to see the pattern now, that enough time has passed, that our biggest global concerns are starting to recede, and peace is...
Hey, Dan Lab 9186. I have not seen you in here, but I am tickled to death to see you in here. And you know what? I do agree with that. Like I said, I've got some, I've definitely got some concerns, but it's hard to, like, if you listen to the Kim Clement stuff, I mean, it's just absolutely just ridiculous. I mean, mind blowing. And so I don't know where I stand on all that. I think it's very interesting, but yeah, I had a feeling that he was meant to be here for whatever purpose it was. And I feel like he has done some things that only he could do. And, yeah, right man for the right time. Now, like I said, here recently, I've got my concerns. We'll see how that works out. Yes, absolutely. I still love to listen to that. It's just crazy. And I'm not completely out of the Trump camp. I'm not completely turned my back. I have concerns, but I've also still got a lot of hope. And this stuff right here is, hey, there you are, Miss Rainin. Yeah, hey, that's good. And you know what? If you have to, just start her over and watch it again tomorrow.
returning. It is all evidence that the good guys are...
Hey, and anybody else that's in that chat, if you ain't hit that subscribe button, please do. And please hit the like button. I know everybody will be reminding everybody in the chat here in a few minutes. But yes, please like, please subscribe, and share.
winning the war. But we're still in the middle. While a lot is improving, it still puzzles many that most of these known criminals are still free, especially the higher-ups like Hillary Clinton, the Bushes, and Obama. That is coming in the next chapter of the story. That's why we have Q. The good guys with control over the NSA began the Q intelligence dissemination program to invoke an online grassroots movement that came to be called the Great Awakening.
Has y'all in the chat, have y'all seen a like a bird's eye view of the Kennedy gravesite at Arlington? I'm going to show it regardless, even if you have or hadn't, but they talked about Kennedy, how he knew and how he was taken out because he was going to stand up to these people. So let me show you this here. This is an overhead view of John Kennedy's gravesite. Now, does it necessarily mean anything? No. But what does that look like to y'all? And it's just an odd shape for, I mean, like, why? But what is that? Does that not look like a Q? Is it just me? Does that not look just like a Q? I just want to show that to y'all. I think it's interesting. Not saying I buy into all of it, but it is very interesting. All right, here we go. Fire in the hole.
It started on underground internet channels and then moved to the mainstream.
Yes, and let me tell you something. That's very interesting, and I'm glad to have somebody that's a little bit that's a little bit more familiar with all this stuff. So, there has always been one thing that has always been said from the beginning, and that's another thing that kind of gives me hope in all this, is that America would literally have a near-death experience, and that we would be on the brink, and that it would be a God thing. It would be God that brings us back. And besides that, this near-death experience would be, at least believed to be, some type of nuclear, possible nuclear exchange. And, with all the things that are going on in the world right now, that doesn't seem like it's an impossibility. So, bingo, exactly. Very good.
It has been a fun distraction for those who follow world
This is all just a thought experiment.
events and desire truth. But it is about to begin a much more important and necessary phase, keeping the public informed when the deep state war breaks out onto the surface. By this, I mean high-profile arrests. Yes, folks, the criminals I'm referring to are famous politicians, actors, singers, CEOs, and celebrities. People who have earned our...
Look, you see that? Now remember, what did we see in the other Wolves in that Wolves and Finance video the other night? Charlie doing this. Oops. Charlie doing this. So that means he's Illuminati. That's nothing like that.
trust, respect, and admiration. They have done very bad things that are all fully known and documented, and they will be severely punished.
That's right, Miss Susan. That's exactly right.
Those of us who have followed Q since the beginning will be here to help you make sense of the coming events. We are among the first to realize that our petty partisan divisions are just trivial distractions, and we are all enslaved by a hidden enemy. We realized that the problem was never capitalism or socialism, Democrat or Republican, black or white, Muslim or Christian. We know it was just very powerful criminals who had too much power. Fellow slaves, it's time to buckle your seatbelt, recognize your true enemy, and embrace a new future that we all owe to the brave patriots who...
And that true enemy is not each other. It's not... Obviously, yes, there's some individuals that you might consider that, but as a whole, in general, it's not the Democrats, it's not the Republicans, it's not the blacks, it's not the Muslims, it is these people in power that literally get by with what they do for one reason and one reason only, and that is by keeping us completely occupied with just constantly fighting. Exactly. Elites, millionaires, the millionaires and the billionaires, which Bernie Sanders, he went from the millionaires to the billionaires to just the billionaires. But yes, it's those people. That is how they survive. That is how they thrive, is to keep us at each other's throats constantly. Always a new boogeyman, what the saying is about, together we stand, divided we fall.
Risk their lives to achieve this victory against the greatest force of evil the world has ever known. May God bless America. Something is going on. Some of us see it, some of us feel it. It's time to expand your thinking. You will need to reset everything you thought you knew about the world, about the people you trust.
You think about that, what that statement yes, God save the world, please, please, please. Who produced that? His name was Joe M. I can get you a little bit more detailed information on him. But I do know that's his handle. I can't remember if he's on X or not, but Joe M is the one that does the series, and he really good. but I got sidetracked. Let's start it again. Then I'll think about it.
About history, about yourself.
Oh, yes. It's talking about how we need to, change the way we think. Think about how many people in the last 6 months, but especially in the last, say, 8 years, one thing that we can all honestly say, I believe we can all agree with, is if he hasn't done any other good thing at all since he walked down that golden escalator, he has made these bastards show themselves. 10 years ago, nobody would have thought any of the stuff that has gone on lately. We would have laughed and, wouldn't have even thought it was, credible enough to put in a movie, much less we'd be going through some of these things. So the majority of people have really, really, really had a rude awakening, and they are starting to understand. There's a lot of people that are still just on autopilot. But you got to think about the different outlook that people have now versus 10 years ago. If nothing else, when Trump came into office, at least, if nothing else, he made these bastards come out of the dark corners. You think about all the things that they did, all the different attacks, all the different, the impeachments and the blah, 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 the Russia hoax, all this stuff. And, it's been going on forever, but they all kind of come out of their dark corners. So anyway, between that and the COVID and just all these things that have gone on, a lot of people look at the government and life in general, the world, a whole lot different than they did 10 years ago.
Let me tell you a story. For a very long time, our world has been under the growing influence of a vast transgenerational criminal mafia that was able to rise up to the highest levels of...
And what are we finding out through the Einstein files? What is all that about? That's exactly what we're talking about right here. Exactly. The elite of the elites, the highest people in the highest, highest positions of power, that place, obviously it all kind of centered around one particular person because he provided a service, but it just goes to show what all these sick bastards have been doing and how they look at us. What was that? Who was it that said that? Something about them making all the money and let us go deal with it or something to that effect.
Power.
Deal with the real world or something like that.
We didn't know because they talked and acted just like you and me. We thought we could recognize true criminals by their words and actions, but we're deceived by their sophisticated speech, wealth, education, beauty, and power. Through a system of threats, blackmail, and bribery, they would come to occupy the highest levels of power in government, corporations, and education. You may know them as the deep state or cabal.
That's exactly right, Mr. Brett. That is exactly right. Yes, 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 and yes.
Most dangerously of all, they achieve almost total influence over the media, their primary means of controlling them.
And you think about it, anything that the news attacks, like hard and heavy, anything. Can you think of one thing that they have really just gone in deep and just stayed on forever, just attack that wasn't at least somewhat true and had some kind of value to it? If they attack it, there's something to it. It's all about being over the target. It's died down now, but a few years ago especially, this was a big topic. This would get you, I don't know if it would get you banned off of YouTube, but it would definitely get you demonetized, just this subject. So, that's always made it even more interesting to me. It's the old Streisand effect,
Good people of the world who were just trying to get on with living.
I can get you that chart, Brett.
They used this power to slowly convince us that we were the problem, that we were a threat to each other. They used race, gender, and religion to set us apart, and rewrote history to validate these false claims. They funded both sides of wars just to crush our potential to prosper and succeed as a peace-loving and creative force of good for the world. Now, with their firm grasp on the media, we drank in their entertainment and lies as they began their final phase, the total takedown of America.
We should go over that sometime. He's talking about the entertainment. Holy Lord, we could go over all that stuff and have material for days. But talking about how, you think about it, just the TV. What's TV? Television? Television. So what are you doing? You have channels. And this is all like, if you think about it, in a spiritual sense, or, witchcraft and all that. It's interesting, the terms and what they call these things. Talk about programming. I'm drawing blanks now. There's so many things. Anyway, all these things, that's all Hollywood has ever been. That's all it's ever been. It's been a CIA op since day one.
We were the brightest remaining beacon of freedom and humanity's last hope. They knew that if they could take America, the rest of the world would follow. They cut deals that led us to hand over total control of the money system to a private central bank, the Federal Reserve. This made it possible to influence Washington, D.C., and most of our presidents since then were beholden to the criminals in one way or another. Things took a really bad turn when they concentrated vast power into the hands of the many civilian intelligence agencies throughout the world. They said they were there to protect us. Instead, these agencies were catastrophically weaponized to boost drug and human trafficking cartels, assassinate political opponents, undermine the military.
Yes, assassinate political opponents. Americans on American soil. Now that's the bad part. That's the worst part of it. Bad enough to just be assassinating folks, but to assassinate a sitting president on American soil, and then that's why, if nothing else, even if it wasn't for any of this evidence and stuff that we've been all digging up and going over lately, just that alone may give me a lot of reason to pause and wonder about Charlie. History just keeps on repeating itself.
And change regimes of foreign governments who did not want to adopt the centralized system of money control.
There he is. You heard me just a minute ago talking about Gaddafi. There he was.
You might think they would choose simply to remain in the shadows running their criminal activities while we carried on with our lives. But as long as there was freedom for the people to prosper, the cabal were always at risk of being discovered and shut down. There was no way to continue without a plan to eliminate all threats to their survival, even if it meant imposing a single world government under their jurisdiction, where no national identity,
aka the globalist or globalism, New World Order. How many times have you heard that phrase in the past 5-6 years? That was something that didn't really get said much, because just that, the phrase, the New World Order, would just send chills up people's spine. Now, good God, you hear it all the time from governments.
Police force, or military could stop them. They called it globalism. Exploiting our emotions and our instincts of compassion, they found a way to justify dismantling cultures, borders, and national identity under the guise of social justice, creating false narratives of race.
Yes, I agree. There you go, right there. I'm not telling anybody what to believe, but we're going to go through all this, and then at least if some of this stuff starts happening, or things start, turning out like this is a legend, then you can be like, oh, hey, yes, I know what's going on. Because it's going to blow some people's minds for sure.
Racism, colonialism, and capitalism to destabilize and ultimately collapse societies so they were no longer secure enough to reject this dark plan for the world. Where there was no history to distort, they would use wars to force a catastrophic mass migration of peoples across borders to destabilize.
Yes, Brett, that is exactly right. Those guys are, bad news.
And weaken cultural identity. When we didn't accept this, they called us intolerant and shamed us into silence. By 2008, America was in advanced stages of economic decline.
old Klaus Schwab, in there in his book, I think he called us useless eaters. 93-pound dog? That's not a little dog, Miss Susan.
With disastrous trade deals leading to widespread loss of jobs and a devastating financial crisis. The Cabal had now absorbed another extensive criminal empire that was aligned with a twisted and radical form of Islam. Realizing the competition could threaten their goals, they decided to cooperate and agree to mutual terms. Now a hostile foreign enemy was able to insert a subordinate into the U.S. political system who would...
There he is. Barry Satura, or whatever his name was.
Become the president. Saudi Prince Al-Walid bin Talal funded Obama's Harvard education and took power by proxy, picking his entire cabinet.
Yeah, sounds like it, Miss Susan. And just for the record, I want to just go out here on the record and say, Obama, yeah, he produced a birth certificate. Trump knew what he was talking about, though, because that birth certificate is not legit. I have heard so many people that know what they're looking at. They have taken that thing and looked at it in all the different layers where things were copied and pasted in. He has never to this day produced a legitimate birth certificate.
While buying vast quantities of control in our largest media.
He's about as much born in America as his wife doesn't have a dick.
Companies. The Western faction of the Cabal was different. It was another kind of sick altogether. A dark and deeply sinister death cult with a strong reliance on symbolism and numerology, with levels of cruelty unimaginable.
What are we seeing in the Einstein files? A lot of this stuff. That's it. Yep, that's right, Brett. That's right, Brett. That's exactly right.
To all right-thinking people. The reach and scale.
Yeah. That's yeah. His daddy out there.
The secret society had achieved would have sent destabilizing shockwaves across the world were it ever to be publicly exposed. They were highly skilled at living just below the surface as they worked their way into the...
Everybody's here for a reason. That's why I decided to start doing what I'm doing, because you know what? Every little bit helps.
United States presidency. With both factions of the global mafia now in control, are you ready to hear what they had planned? Make sure you're sitting down. They installed rogue operators in government. They opened back doors to leak highly classified military intel and top-secret special access programs. They cut military funding and weakened the command of generals with irrational new rules of engagement. They worked to dismantle NASA and end our supremacy in space. They infiltrated and exposed defensive military intelligence programs that reduced our ability to detect foreign and domestic threats. They used our trusted agencies to target and weaken political opponents. They relaxed our borders and enabled passage of millions of illegals and violent criminal gangs. They moved money to fund global terror.
Obviously, it's been going on for years, but you think about the 4 years of Biden and all the criminals and all the cartels and all the gangs that just poured over the border. And trust me, they've not been all rounded up and got out of here, and I'm convinced that they were let in here for a reason. Just waiting on the right signal, the right circumstances.
Terrorism, resulting in groups like ISIS moving to capture vast territories throughout the world. In 2016, the Cabal Alliance had hoped to retain power. If you are not yet chilled to the bone by the picture that is forming about their intentions for us all, let me tell you what was to come next. Through international climate change scams.
Miss Susan, even if it's just popping up in the chat and being a cheerleader, even that right there alone is, trust me, you make my night. You're one of the reasons that I keep coming back and doing this. So everybody's got their own part to play. Yes, you definitely have a purpose.
They would have siphoned trillions of remaining wealth, eliminate the last good guys in government, and withdraw total funding from the U.S. military, handing over the responsibility of our defense to the United Nations. They would revise the Constitution to weaken our ability to fight back, ban the sale of firearms to eliminate our self-defense, insert their people into the Supreme Court, remove the Electoral College system to neuter our voting power.
And how long have certain in government been screaming that we need to get rid of the electoral college?
And totally eliminate alternative media to shield them from exposure. They instigated a covert deal to move large quantities of our uranium to their captured states in North Korea.
Oh yeah, and Trump's a Russian puppet. He's a Putin stooge. But who was it that did that under the table deal to sell our uranium to Russia? Oh yeah, that was Hillary Clinton, the one that gets on every time she's got a camera in front of her face. She talks about how Trump is a stooge of Putin, a stooge of Russia. Like he's a Russian agent, you know. And there she is selling our uranium.
And Iran to build up a nuclear arsenal that would threaten the world. For this, they blamed Russia, a growing force of opposition to their ambitions of global control, by casting Putin as an enemy and blaming him for this illegal uranium.
And you think about that. Everybody has talked for years about how bad of a guy Putin is and how evil, and we've been, quote unquote, air quotes, right on the brink of war with Russia for all these years. You know, back in the day, NATO had a legitimate purpose. Back in the days of the Soviet Union. Soviet Union is gone. It's been gone for a long time. And, I'll tell you what they hate about Putin. It isn't because he's a bad guy. It isn't because he wants to take over the United States or take over all of Europe and start up the Soviet Union. What they hate about Putin is that they cannot control him and that he is not a globalist. He's not a Satanist. And, they've done pretty good in Russia. It is a majority Christian country. And, he doesn't go for the whole whacking off genitals on kids. And, he's talked about it. Some of his speeches that he's given about some of these elites, how their love for, disgusting stuff. Again, I go back to the Einstein files. So that's what they hate about Putin and Russia. Not because they're a threat to us. I mean, look how good him and Trump have gotten along. And there's a reason for that. Maybe it's because of a little bit of mutual respect. If you want to be respected, you got to show a little respect. Jesus Christ, years ago when Clinton was in office, Putin asked if Russia could get into NATO. Of course, that was a no-go because they're the only excuse for us to have NATO.
Deal. They had planned a devastating nuclear world war between...
Hey, mermaid, what's up? She made it in here. Oh, sweet. Thank you. I hadn't even noticed yet. Awesome. 10 watching, 10 likes. That's the way I like it. We'll keep this up for a little while, and it'll be 100 watching and 100 likes, and we'll just keep going just like that.
America and Russia, that would have exhausted the last two remaining pillars of freedom for the world, accelerating the horrific endgame that had become inevitable.
The mermaid, I would love to start going earlier, and I do plan on doing that when I can. But for now, right now, my magic time is 10 o'clock Central. I hate it because I got to get up and work in the morning. I hate going so late. But that's generally going to be my time, is really, really 10-ish anyway. Might be 10:05. I think it was 10:07 tonight. But, somewhere in that ballpark until I can work things out where I can start doing it earlier.
This cabal miraculously lost power in 2016 when a brave operation, led by a U.S. military alliance and their global partners, were able to return power legitimately over to the light. They had a plan of their...
I got news for you. Barron's in Central Time. Just so you know, mermaid. And I know this. I live about an hour and a half from Barron. He's in God's country. He's in Tennessee. And what we are watching the video is called sorry, I got sidetracked. I was reading the chat. It's called Q, the Plan to Save America. If you'll remember when we watched that Wolves in Finance video the other night, he brought up Q and the whole plan with the military. He was thinking that this whole military plan had to do with stealing elections, that the Democrats have been stealing elections, through the intelligence agencies, and that the military, since they're more Republican, decided they were going to steal the election to get Republicans in office. So I I told y'all then that we would do a little bit more of this material so you could at least get a better idea of what this is actually alleged to be intended for, not stealing elections.
Very own, one that was many decades in the making.
Okay, I got you. Well, I mean, I almost asked about his wife and his 8 kids next, but I got you.
Donald Trump selected for the role of president, the people of America were slowly awakened to the reality of the world they live in. With so much hidden and lied about in the media channels we had come to trust for our news.
Wow. Kind of think Greg's taken, ain't he?
Entertainment. This alliance of good set into motion a sophisticated strategy of dismantling the vast network of corruption that had almost completely overcome every level of government, industry, and the legal system. They knew they had to follow the laws of the land as they were originally intended. Otherwise, they themselves would be delegitimized, even though they were just trying to free us from the silent stranglehold of tyranny that we had come to accept as normal. The panicking deep state used any remaining power they had left to try and save themselves. Each day for 2 years was a careful and meticulously planned balancing act between public perception and the job that needed to be done. Moving too fast would shock and scare a sleeping public.
Yeah, he's super taken. I mean, he got a wife and then he's got 8 kids too. Woo, talking about starting out with some baggage.
Still living in the prison of the mind that was created for them. But after all this, it appears now that not only are we winning, but we have won. The trajectory of this great storm is now radiantly clear. Now we look forward to a new future, thanks to the brave patriots who risked everything to save our world. This time for good. There is not a person alive who has experienced what a world without this dark.
And I'm sorry, Mermaid. I didn't notice that when you said Baron that first time that you put 2 R's in it, because we all know that Mr. Colin does not get 2 R's in his, that Trump misspelled his son's name.
Darkness could be like. A world of free energy that was kept from us to force our dependency on their fossil fuel monopolies. Abolishment of income tax that was illegally imposed to pay back interest.
Oh, Kevin, that was interesting too. I just love all that stuff. I mean, good lordy.
On loans taken from
We're gonna have to start putting together a list of things, and we'll just have to schedule these things out, things we want to go through.
the cabal banking system. Released cures for our most deadly diseases. Unleashed space technologies to open frontiers we never dreamed possible. New technologies creating millions of jobs.
I wish I could think of that guy's name. He went on Sean Ryan, and there's been some other people that have interviewed him too. Really, really high up military guy. I think he was in the Air Force, and then he was in Space Force. I wish I could remember his name, but really, really high up. And he's been talking a lot lately about some of the technologies we have. And he talked about how we basically have the technology now to have free energy. We could just literally beam it right from space. Of course, there's other methods too, but that's just one of them. He talks about how we've got the technology to, travel instantly from one place to the other and all that stuff. And that gets into some weird stuff. But either way, yeah, they have purposely kept us in the Stone Age.
Yielding a global human renaissance, the likes of which we have never seen. Fellow Americans and citizens of the world, now it is our turn to shine. Wherever we are, we will become the plan when we choose to reject what they called globalism. We recognize the words they use to bend us to their will, and we say no more. It's time to turn off the media, follow your instincts, trust yourself, and be the plan. May God bless America and the world. By now, you may already be aware that America was on the verge of being completely destroyed by a gang of very powerful criminals who had made their way right into the heart of power. We didn't notice because they had become our most trusted leaders, entertainers, and politicians. But then things changed. In 2016, patriots in the U.S. military took back power legitimately with the election of Donald Trump. Plunged directly into the damage and sickening destruction caused to America and the world. They got to work dismantling the branches of this powerful secret shadow government that was in the process of siphoning off America's vast wealth to their global masters. After 2 years of a dramatic covert operation that was to include the gutting
There was old ball sack face George Soros.
of the corrupt CIA, FBI, and Justice Department, they now face the last remaining pillar of the deep state, their vast media empire. They were using this unparalleled power to confuse the people of the world and distract from their...
I have not read the whole thing, but I am very familiar, and I've heard lots of excerpts out of it. And yes, very, very, very wild stuff. Like, yeah, crazy.
criminality and subversion. They recognized that division and hate among people was the most effective way to keep us occupied and ignorant while they robbed us blind.
Yeah, I need to sit down and just read the whole book because it is serious. It is really, really, it is, what I've seen of it is really good.
Engineered senseless trade deals and destroyed distant lands for their own personal gain. The mainstream media, both in America and beyond, now remains the gravest threat to the people of the world. The battle for the American soul began in October 2017 with an NSA intelligence operation that we call Q. For the first time, the people were shown the reality of the world they live in, the extent of the corruption and crime that had been destroying their society for decades. Most of all, it showed them the path to their own liberation. Finally, on July 31st, 2018, in Tampa, Florida, President Donald Trump, avoiding the corrupt media channels by speaking directly to the people, allowed Q followers to display their support publicly. This deliberate action forced the deep state media to cover the story, as not doing so would raise a level of curiosity that could lead to a devastating mass awakening. To defend against this, they joined together in an unprecedented combined global mass media assault against Q.
And just so you know, obviously it doesn't necessarily mean that this is all fact, but definitely an interesting data point. It was not in his first term, but since, and since he's been on True Social, he has shared quite a few posts, and you know, the post didn't originate from him. He shared them from other people, but he shared several posts that were, let's just say, Q adjacent. He shared several pictures of him with like a Q lapel on his jacket or lapel pin. So just an interesting data point.
They could deter the public from discovering the truth about our world. They call it a conspiracy, a word associated
That's right, Mermaid. What if?
with unlawful or nefarious actions, depicting Q followers as a danger to society instead of peace-loving patriots just trying to break free from the prison of the mind that was created for them. Their attack on Q was to be just one of countless knowingly false narratives started and pushed by the criminals that control our media.
You'll have to Google, but I believe there's an audiobook actually online, maybe one on YouTube.
They said Trump colluded with Russia to win the 2016 presidential election. They said he was a puppet to Putin. They claimed he would hurt relationships with our allies. They said he would collapse the economy and the stock market. We heard he was about to go to war with North Korea. They are saying he will do the same with Iran. They even said...
Well, for the time being, on the Iran thing, he kind of has, but we'll see.
That he would destroy the whole world. These fake narratives kept on coming, and they spread them with full knowledge that they were lies meant to stop the one force that could end them for good. It's time the American people and those all over the world ask themselves what is really going on. What are the people who control our media afraid of? What are they hiding? If you look, you will discover that the fake news media is not free or independent.
Not going nowhere, just going off camera for a second. I'm right here.
You will see it is just a propaganda arm of the deep state. You will discover the names and faces of the cabal agents who have colluded to destroy our republic and bend us to their will. They want you divided. Divided by race. Divided by religion. Divided by political affiliation. They want this because divided you are weak. Together you are strong. It's time to research for yourself. You will find many things, among them an unprecedented number of sealed indictments filed in preparation for a mass arrest event. You will also discover an unprecedented list of corrupt CEOs who have recently been removed from their posts. You will see the same in the Senate and in Congress. And you will see the same at the top of the FBI.
Another interesting side note, just another data point. It started in earnest with Obama, but Obama, Joe Biden, Nancy Pelosi's been calling for it. They've all been calling for shutting down Gitmo for years. And one part of this whole story is that Gitmo will be where these traders will end up. And for some reason, even though Joe Biden was president for 4 years, Obama was president for 8 years, they have not been able to close Gitmo down. And what's her name? Catherine Heritage. She's been down there a lot reporting on it. And, you know, Trump dumped a lot of money into it, and they've been updating things. And so to hear her talk about it, reporting on it, I mean, everything's being modernized, expanded, and all that. For what? For what? I mean, it's just, like I said, it's just a data point. One that really, really makes me think how bad I hope that every single one of these dirty politicians and everybody Einstein adjacent gets put there. Now, whether they will or not, time will tell, but that would be amazing.
And the Justice Department. This movement is
Guantanamo Bay, Cuba. That's where they've always kept, like, you know, back when we were doing the whole war on terror thing, you know, back when we were in Afghanistan, Iraq, everything, we would get these quote unquote terrorists, and that's where they would go. Yeah, it's Guantanamo Bay, Cuba, military base / prison.
not about one person or a group of people. It is about we, the people. The world is currently witnessing the large...
I don't believe in coincidences and everything's for a reason. Now, can I put my hand on this Bible right here and swear to you what the purpose is? No, but it is being expanded for some purpose. They're not putting money into it and expanding it for no reason whatsoever. And I forget what the numbers are, but there are a minute amount of people there right now. So it's not that they're over capacity and they're having to expand. They are planning on something in the future, whatever it is. I do not know, but they're obviously planning on. They're adding all these geriatric wards and things in there. It's crazy, crazy. So I don't know. We shall see. That's for sure.
Just mass treason event in the living history. But instead of being fearful, we should be filled with hope. Instead of fighting among ourselves, we should face our only true enemy, the criminal deep state and their once invincible mainstream media apparatus. Do you want to free yourself? It's easy. Follow Q and turn them off. Stop what you're doing. I'm about to show you something you already suspect deep inside, but can't explain. The United States of America is currently in the midst of a war. Not the kind when one country attacks another with missiles or tanks. Not like warplanes dropping bombs on our Pacific Fleet. Not like a hostile neighbor launching a surprise invasion across our borders. Instead, we face a cruel and merciless enemy who invented a whole new type of war, one that threatens us now more than all the bombs in the world. They are motivated by pure greed and inconceivable cruelty, and have been silently reversing all that is good for so long that we became lulled into a state of self-destructive compliance, while they tore us apart and robbed us blind. When patriots took back key branches of the U.S. government in 2016, a light was turned on to the vast corruption network that had infiltrated into the highest positions of power across every state. Only then did ordinary citizens begin to realize how close we had come to the end of it all. But first we must endure one last painful battle that will touch every citizen, no matter who they are. Right now, the country is being torn apart by the biggest political hoax and coordinated mass media disinformation campaign in living history. You may know it as COVID-19.
Hey, that's another one too. Absolutely. Tesla, you damn right. Yeah. Look, we're gonna have a long, happy relationship together. We got to talk about all this stuff. Yeah, I'm not saying I'm the most read up on it, but I have always been extremely interested in Tesla, and I believe that obviously he had some really good ideas and really good intentions and discovered some crazy stuff. And I feel like that stuff has been suppressed intentionally for years. Hey, nosy Google, I'm sorry. I'm glad you was able to make it in here for a little bit. You have to just back it up, rewatch it tomorrow. It's good shit. Everybody's been having a ball here in the chat. Hope you hit the like button on the way in, because you know you're going to like it.
Let me tell you a story. In 2015, as directed by the globalist criminal corruption network known as the Deep State.
Yeah, I've always thought that about him naming his company Tesla. And I don't know. I don't really know. And I know you're not even asking me about my favorite part about Tesla, but I was trying to think of what my favorite part is. I don't know. The whole free energy concept to me would be absolutely, it would just change the whole world overnight in so many different ways. Yes, absolutely, he does. Yep, his uncle John was the one that got all Tesla's research.
President Barack Obama authorized millions in funding for the Wuhan Institute.
Y'all keep talking about naps. That's where I'm fixing to have to go. Have to take me about a 5-hour nap.
Institute of Virology. The location now understood to be the epicenter of the COVID-19 outbreak. The research carried out here was to provide the agent for a global biological attack on a scale never before seen. One that would be timed for release within an election year, starting the very day unsubstantiated efforts to impeach President Trump fell apart. With their base of operations in the Democrat establishment, the Deep State Shadow Corporation embarked on a coordinated irregular warfare in.
And I don't know if y'all noticed or remember or what, but if you'll remember, right after Trump was elected in 2016, it was at the beginning of 2017, right as he was coming into office, Tony Fauci with that cryptic message to everybody that said that he had no doubt that at some point within Trump's presidency or Trump's term that he would have to deal with a major pandemic. Oh, he's just really lucky guesser, I guess.
Urgency with multiple aims, all under the cover of.
Yeah, Mermaid. She's definitely the most beautiful first lady we've ever had.
A global pandemic they themselves manufactured for this purpose. Enabled by their owned and controlled corporate media monopoly, they instigated a heavy-handed and unjustifiable nationwide shutdown to reverse Trump's many economic and unemployment gains, with Democrat-controlled states suffering the harshest restrictions in the country. Trump's energetic rallies were halted, hiding from view the surging nationwide passion for his galvanizing message, while Democratic presidential frontrunner Joe Biden was able to avoid interviews and debates where left-leaning voters would not be shown his obvious inability to govern, or the emerging Ukrainian bribery scandal,
or to even carry on a conversation
that earned his family millions in illicit kickbacks by abusing his office. The next major advantage of the pandemic for the deep state.
I think he means the real Philly this time, Mermaid, if I'm understanding what he's talking about.
Was the case made to the public for mail-in voting, a highly insecure practice proven to be rampant with fraud, just as the public saw in one such example when a former Philadelphia judge pled guilty to stuffing ballot boxes.
It gets confusing when people start talking about the real Philly or real Philadelphia sometimes.
After being paid by what he called a Democrat political consultant. With a rapidly rising death toll needed to make the case to the public for even harsher control, normal influenza deaths for the year were recorded as COVID-19, artificially inflating the numbers. But this was only the beginning. When this did not yield enough fatalities, the deep state
Nosy Google, it is called Q, the Plan to Save the World. It's really interesting. So what it is if you'll remember the other night, we went over the Wolves in Finance video, and a big chunk of that video was him talking about Q. He brought Q up and how the intelligence agencies have always been kind of left leaning, more Democrat. So they were trying to get all these Democrats in, and the Republicans, the military's more right or Republican. So they decided, this is what he believes. They decided that the military decided, well, since the intelligence agencies and the left are doing illegal things to get people in office, we're going to break the law to get Republicans in office. And this is what his whole theory of what's been going on and what the whole Q thing meant. So I had said that when we were going through that I did not believe that was the case, and that there is something to it. What exactly, will remains to be seen, but that we would go over some Q material. And so this basically, it just gives some background into all that and explains what the actual Q thing was supposed to have been or supposed to be.
initiated a murderous plan to defy federal guidelines and to move infected patients into nursing homes where the highest risk age group could be found in large numbers. The deep state governors of New York.
Oh, God. Mermaid don't know about that? Y'all don't know about the big ship that they disappeared and brought back? Oh.
New Jersey, California.
We're definitely going to have to cover it now.
Pennsylvania, and Michigan oversaw what can only be described as a genocide of our elderly loved ones, even as the quickly constructed field hospitals and medically equipped Navy ships stood mostly empty. This horrendous act cost the lives of over 50,000 people, but gave the insurgency a death toll that would stoke the public fear needed to push ahead with their goals.
I'll see if I can find some good material on that, and we'll turn that into a show. It won't be hard to turn that into a show. Mermaid.
In these dark times, when people had little else but the comfort of community in their faith, this too was forcibly halted when simply going to church was banned across the country under the guise of public safety. Depression and loneliness became the new epidemic.
That's what I'm here for.
All designed to create the social conditions needed for what was to come next in their despotic plan to fracture the nation and hold on to power. Immediately upon reports of a flattening curve and a reduction in new cases,
and we were talking about George Floyd earlier. Here we go.
The mysterious murder of George Floyd hit the headlines. What was presented to the public as a routine instance of racially motivated police brutality turned out to be a strange and coincidental series of events involving two men who once knew each other, working security in a nightclub.
And if y'all will remember, some idiot had the gall to go on national television basically and say that we needed to stay home and not gather. We couldn't go to the hospital or the funeral homes. People, granddaddies and grandmas were dying in hospitals and nursing homes and couldn't see their families, and all this terrible stuff that went on. But yet it was worth the risk to go to a George Floyd protest, and that I even think I remember hearing some idiot say that that there were no outbreaks because of the George Floyd protests. Ugh.
This event provided the justification for the next chapter in their coordinated insurgency against the.
Yes, Mermaid. So it came out later that that Derek Chauvin actually knew George Floyd and that they had worked together in a nightclub. I think they worked security or something, but they both worked part-time in this nightclub together. So yes, it came out later that they did know each other.
United States. The goal was to inflame civil unrest along racial lines on an emotional platform of social justice. A divided house cannot stand, and the enemy knew this all too well. Black Lives Matter was funded and designed by the corrupt Democrat establishment as a social weapon to draw crowds.
They sure did.
Crowds of well-meaning protesters into harm's way, using them as human shields while they pushed a savage insurrection on city streets. This was intensified even further by folding in the violent paramilitary group.
You can look into it. You'll find it. You'll find it out if you do a little researching. It's. I'm not gonna say it's well known because that's not something that really got covered much. But yeah, I mean that's legit. They did. They knew each other.
Antifa, who were given a free pass by Democrat mayors and governors to loot stores, smash up small businesses, and assault innocent bystanders.
That was the largest transfer of wealth in American history, probably in world history. All of the little mom and pop shop, all the small restaurants, all the little places, all the small businesses that literally run this country were all destroyed and shut down. But yet it was okay to go to Walmart, Home Depot, Lowe's, Costco, you know, those places. And besides that, with everybody sitting at home, oh God, all of a sudden Amazon and ordering from Walmart became a huge thing. So, yeah, all that money came out of the small businesses' pockets and went directly into the pockets of the biggest corporations in the world.
The public were shown in explicit detail how Democrat leaders refused to protect local citizens, choosing instead to provide an open road for the anarchists to destabilize civil society, allowing the innocent to be indiscriminately injured and terrorized. Knowing that lawless chaos would accelerate their aims, they began calling for the elimination of police. While
God, I sure hope so. I do hope so. It's about time.
evicting the National Guard, who were made available to protect the public against the worst of the violence. DC Mayor Muriel Bowser even called.
Yes, it is, Mermaid. This is like a 6-part. I think it's a 6-part series. This is like I think this may be the 3rd or 4th one, and we're in pretty far, so we might actually take a pause and pick this up later. I got to look and see how much is left. But yeah, it's it all covers basically the same thing, but it's just like different stages along the way, things that have gone on, you know, and how everything kind of relates.
For the elimination of the White House fence, just days after a close call by rioters who attempted to breach the perimeter. And on June 22nd, Democratic Congressman Adam Schiff proposed a House bill to amend United States Code Title 18 that would prohibit the use of military force in the event of civil unrest, an obvious attempt to weaken the Commander-in-Chief's ability to defend the public from the planned insurrection, which was intended to play out over the weeks and months leading up to the election.
Attorney General William
That's right, Nosy Google. That's exactly right. Yep.
Barr has appointed the U.S. Attorney in Connecticut to investigate.
The pandemic was also providing cover of a different kind, taking place behind the scenes at the Justice Department.
Yeah, it's always something. Just as soon as they roll something out and then it finally, you know, goes away, they roll something else
Is a
in there.
far-reaching investigation into
They got to keep us at each other's throats. They can get away with anything they want to, as long as we're all fighting each other.
the Obama administration's weaponization of the foreign.
Not to mention the damage that happened and the financial things, you know, problems that came from this. All these small businesses that were wrecked and destroyed, not only from the whole COVID thing, but then getting smashed up from all these riots. You know, the small businesses are what runs this country, and them taking that big of a lick was just a huge thing.
Intelligence surveillance court to spy on Trump and his associates during the transition of power. With evidence now emerging that Obama officials, including Joe Biden and Obama himself, colluded to frame General Michael Flynn. They used social distancing guidelines to hold grand juries and give witnesses the cover of health fears to avoid honoring court-ordered subpoenas. What you are witnessing is the dying breaths of a hidden enemy responsible for over a century of embedded corruption that has been slowly destroying our republic.
If you don't think these people sell their soul to the devil, look at Lord, my mind just went blank. Senator from Kentucky, good Lord, what's his name? Republican. It's getting late. It's getting really late. Anyway, look at all these people. I mean, they're in office at like 80, 85, 90 plus. I mean, some of these people literally have to almost be carried in there. Like once they go into office, they've got a job to do and they do it until the day they die. And I don't think it's necessarily just because they want to keep going in there. I think they make a deal and they got to hold their end of the deal up till the end.
From the inside. They divided us along racial, gender.
That's exactly right, Nosy Google. But I tell you what, it really woke a lot of people up.
And political lines. They created reasons for us to go to war. They made international trade agreements that brought us no benefit, but allowed them to.
Not only no benefit, but some of them were devastating. I mean, you got to think about the whole. Yes, he does. Absolutely. I still remember that tweet or that X post that Musk made. My pronouns are arrest Fauci or something like that. It's freaking hilarious.
To steal our vast wealth, driving us into a state of perpetual economic decay. They flooded our streets with deadly drugs to manufacture a devastating epidemic of addiction and mass incarceration. And they did it all with impunity while their completely controlled mainstream media assets kept us distracted and focused on everything else except our one true enemy. The 2020 US elections are like none we have ever experienced. COVID-19 is being sold as a natural event, but we see now it is an attempt by enemies of humanity to hold on to power. After November, they stand to lose it all, but they will do everything to keep the crisis alive and the people in.
Yeah, I don't think they're done with James Comey. I know it wasn't looking good there for a bit, but I don't think that we've seen the last of that. The thing about it is they keep talking about statute of limitations and stuff, and on an individual crime, that is one thing. But if in fact they are doing what I hope they're doing and what they should be doing, when you start talking about conspiracy, RICO, all these things, because it was a conspiracy, that kind of does away with that statute of limitations, at least as it was for an individual, in an individual crime. So I think they still got plenty of. I think they can still get it done, and I hope like hell they do, because it needs to happen. It needs to be a long time coming. We've got to make some examples out of some of these people, or they're just going to keep on doing it, because every single time one of these people gets in there and does terrible things, ends up being a traitor, what happens? Oh, they retire. They go to be with their family, whatever. Nobody ever goes to jail.
Fear. To win, we must remember what made us strong, so that true justice can finally return to what is and always will be the most acceptable.
It does. And you know why? Because it's ongoing. It's never stopped. It may be different than it was back in 2020, 2018, whatever, but it's ongoing. So, the clock's still, as far as the way I see it anyway, the clock's still going.
National republic ever to exist in all of human history. May God bless America. There was a time when our children stood at attention, and in one united voice recited the Pledge of Allegiance.
And is that not sad that you know how many kids nowadays can't even recite the Pledge of Allegiance? It is so sad. And then, taking prayer out of schools, all these things that you can't convince me that they have not, that it has not been an intentional, degradation and just we've been on the downhill for decades, and it's totally intentional. Totally intentional. They have slowly, little by little, gotten rid of patriotism and any type of any type of Christian, anything God related, anything patriotism related. Like they want it gone, they want it done away with. They figured out how to turn out little commies out of these schools, and they've done a very good job of it. Yuri Bezmenov, way back in the day, you remember that interview? Y'all remember that interview? I'm sorry, how do words work? That interview he did, talked about what the plan was for the communists to take over America, that they would never invade us, that it would be from within. And as a matter of fact, John Kennedy, what did he say about, what's the quote? Subversion over invasion or something to that effect. We're the United States of America. Nobody can invade us, and everybody knows that. But subversion's a totally different ball game, and that is exactly what's been going on for decades. And a lot of people are starting to realize it. Thank God. Hopefully, it's not too late.
When strength
I don't think it is. I'm not giving up on us. Never.
and honor meant something. When standing for our flag meant something.
Monsanto, Cargill.
There was a time when our history was taught with pride and respect. When respect was given to those who served, bled, and died to protect and defend.
Hey, I'm glad you found me too. I really am. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, that notification. And we'll be covering all kinds of good content. We've been on the Charlie Kirk thing hard and heavy, and we're going to stay on that, especially here and there. But we're definitely going to break it up, mix it up with some different stuff, and kind of like what we're doing right now. So, yeah, make sure you subscribed and got the notifications on. That way you can jump into chat. We always have a good time in that chat.
Our freedoms. It was when we, the people, decided our future and had a voice that was heard. We are all bound by a feeling deep inside.
Thank you, Miss Susan. Thank you. Makes me feel good. And you're right. We always have a good time.
People in power are exploiting and abusing us while using the powerful media apparatus to pretend they're not.
No, I don't think so. And now maybe he did, but this was more of a, and somebody correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure this was more of a communist, like Soviet Union, maybe even Stalin type thing. The Soviet Union back in the day when it was around, they always talked about subverting America. Yes, exactly. There you go, Brett. I thought I was right on that. Yes, it was Stalin. Okay. You know what? I feel like I feel old some days, but not that old. But yes, that's what I was thinking. I was back before my time. I try to stay a little bit informed. It's so hard these days. There's so much.
All we ever wanted to do was the right thing, but they kept telling us we were wrong. We started to believe them and let ourselves forget everything that once made us strong. We became weak. We elected traitors to govern us. We allowed evil to prey on us. Those who claimed to represent us gave us false hope, made false promises. The evil and corruption only grew. They invented the word globalism to advance on their agenda of tyranny undetected, using fake narratives of social justice to neuter our resolve to fight back and silence us with shame. If you've had the
And Nosy, this is just that's another prime example of it. This still goes on to this day. We will just bend over backwards. I mean, wait on people, hand and foot, just give me that, handouts, whatever. We do all this stuff and then can't get shit back from anybody. And that's just a prime example. Like what, we had to beat Germany back, right? So what did we do to beat Germany? We propped up, the Soviet Union. We propped them up so they could go and fight for us or help us beat Hitler. And at the end of the day, after it's all said and done, then once they got done with, once the Hitler thing got taken care of, then yeah, they're talking about subverting us. Like what? We we're the reason probably that y'all won the war. Anyway, that's another subject for another day.
Misfortune of living through a globalist revolution, you will remember many false promises of prosperity and justice for all, but observing.
That's exactly right. And those are words of wisdom. I hate to say it coming from somebody like Stalin, but those truer words were never spoken.
Only poverty, violence, and death. One after another, these nations were robbed of every resource the land and waters produced. Citizens who would not surrender their freedoms were threatened, marginalized, or even killed. Those who did were weaponized against the rest. They blamed us for destroying the environment.
And hey, I know several of y'all have asked about the video. Obviously, you can go back to the beginning of this one and see this whole video with my awesome commentary in between. But I will go back and I will drop the link for this into the description. Honestly, should have done that to start out with, and I kind of forgot to. But if you'll go back, it might be tomorrow, but if you'll go back, the link for this video will be in the description of this video, okay?
Environment, for poverty, for slavery, for not going to college, or for just giving up. What you must learn is that it has always been them, a colossal global criminal class who had risen up and occupied every level of corporate, legal, and political power imaginable.
Those charts right there are crazy, showing how all of you think that you've got a choice. You think that there's competition out there. You think that you as the buyer, you have all these different choices, and that you can shop around and make your decision based on quality and, flavor and all this when it comes to food, but you actually have no choice. No matter what you buy, they all go back to the same people. Doesn't matter what brand you buy, they're all the same.
In 2016, they were preparing for an endgame.
Yes, Patton, and that was the worst mistake we ever made, was not listening to Patton. I tell you what, I love old Blood and Guts.
That was to start with the election of
Blood and Guts General Patton.
Hillary Clinton, and within 8 years would have culminated in nothing.
He was screaming from the rooftops, we need to handle this before it gets out of control.
Less than a mass global nuclear
Then they killed him.
Holocaust. Yet somehow, while humanity was taking its last step over the precipice of extinction, there was a miracle. You may know it as the plan. Brave patriots set into motion a sophisticated military-grade sting operation against the overwhelming network of corruption that had led all the way to the top. By the time the good people of the world...
Damn, I bet he had some stories to tell. That's crazy.
...learned of the frightening reality they were living in, and how close we came to the end of it all. We had already been saved. Raging around us is the final phase of a vast global shadow war, not between nations, but between the forces of good and the most unimaginable of evils. They know what's coming. It is now more clear than ever.
And it almost seems like a lot of them do know it's coming, the way they act so freaked out in D.C. Like these people, it's like they know something. they know something bad is. They always watching over their shoulders, and they're always, they seem so paranoid. But yeah, it's like they're holding out hope that it won't happen, but that they feel like they're going to have a run-in with karma one of these days, and it's just not going to be pretty.
Never in our history have they been this exposed. Never in our history have they come out from the shadows to fight. The truth is clearly visible. They defend the violent criminal gangs of MS-13. They openly promote the dismantling of our borders. They said there would be nuclear war if Trump remained in office. They encouraged violence against those who spoke out. They pushed hate, war, and economic decline. They wanted to stop peace talks with North Korea. They called for Trump to be impeached, not even providing a reason. They tried to get us to hate America, and so many
boomers in the chat. Boomer alert.
Obeyed. But now, each day more and more, we see they are terrified. They knew this day would come. The entire world is watching. Patriots from around the world know that if America should fall, so falls the world. That's why we have Q. We the people, patriots everywhere, stand at the ready. We volunteer our talents willingly. We fight. We think for ourselves. Dark to light.
Hey, I don't hate boomers. I love boomers. Don't get, hey, I didn't mean it like that. Well, there we go. I don't know about y'all, but I thoroughly enjoyed that. Y'all may have been rolling your eyes through certain parts of it, you know. Maybe it seems a little far-fetched, but it is extremely interesting regardless, very entertaining. And hope that added a little context to what Zach was talking about the other day. And yeah, hey, some of them are. I know. Look, I get the sentiment. It is not I get the sentiment as a generational thing, you know, they act like yeah, the boomers had it the best, and it's been going downhill ever since. Again, it's not the boomers. It's these corrupt people. It's these corrupt politicians and these assholes, these huge corporations. They're the real reason at the end of the day. So, thank you, Mermaid. Thank you. And y'all just let me know if y'all want to, if y'all want to have a gander at any more of it. I'll be more than happy. There's all kinds of material out there, so we can always look into that. So if, unless some other huge bombshell, drops in between now and then, tomorrow, I want to cover what I ran across just right before I started this show. Graham Allen back at his favorite game. He's on Megyn Kelly and Candace Owens, and he put out 2 videos back to back. And yeah, y'all probably haven't seen them, which consider yourself lucky. But yeah, we'll go over those. I think it's important. That's exactly right. You know, Black Lives Matter, you know, I don't know what it still says. They may have changed all that now, especially since there's been a lot of people gone to jail and all that. But anyway, back in the day, anyway, you know, on their website, they said that one of their stated goals was to destroy the nuclear family. So, yeah, that's been the plan for a long time. So, not Graham. Trust me, you'll find it interesting. I kind of held my nose and pushed play, and I just found it so dumb and retarded that it was actually kind of funny, crazy. But he wants to talk about the lies, and that's why I've just got to bring him. I've got to show y'all. Talk about lies, my God. Talk about the pot calling the kettle black. Anyway, I really appreciate y'all for coming out. That we had to chat banging like as usual, maybe even a little more than usual, and I really appreciate that. I'm gonna get off here. I got about 25 seconds and we'll be 2 hours in, so got to get up in the morning. I sell roofs, and we had a tornado, so it's gonna be another long day tomorrow. Hey, y'all have a good what's left of y'all's night, and I apologize for keeping y'all up so late. And yes, that's exactly what I'm going to do, Brett. I'm going to do that right now. All right, y'all. Yes, good night, and thank y'all very, very much. Thank y'all for the support. Means more than y'all ever know. Yeah, we'll plan on doing it again tomorrow night. And yeah, absolutely. Y'all all have a good rest of y'all's night. And we'll, like I said, I'll see y'all back here tomorrow. See if we can't get that chat popping again. Hey, thanks, y'all.